Well, good morning, everyone, from the far north of Fairbanks, Alaska. We will be starting the webinar officially in about 4 minutes. So at 5 minutes after the hour, we'll start the webinar, make sure everyone has an opportunity to log in. But a very early morning from Alaska to you. And we'll be starting the webinar in 3 minutes. Okay, 1 minute countdown. We'll start the webinar in 1 minute. All right, well, hello everyone from the far north of Fairbanks, Alaska, where it is 6:05 a.m. I think I got enough coffee in my system this morning to make this a coherent presentation on my end. Welcome to the Fairbanks, Alaska, Land of the Midnight Sun and the Northern Lights webinar. Thank you for taking some time to tune in today. My name is Scott McCrae. I'm the Director of Tourism with Explore Fairbanks, and joining me today is my colleague Elke Brazen over in Germany, who is our European contractor. We're looking forward to spending a short amount of time with you today to introduce you to the year-round destination that is Fairbanks, Alaska. Please note that you can use the question function within the GoToMeeting, and we will do our best to keep track of the questions and answer them as we go along or at the end of the webinar. So as I said, I'm Scott McCrae. I'm the Director of Tourism here at Explore Fairbanks. That's me on the left there up in the far north of Alaska's Arctic. Explore Fairbanks is the destination marketing organization representing Fairbanks in interior Alaska. And between myself and more importantly with Elka, we're here to help you. Our job is to help introduce our wonderful friends and partners within the travel trade industry, tour operators and travel agents, to give you the information, the resources, the training you need to help you send your clients to Fairbanks and to Alaska, which we know isn't happening right now, but all of us in this industry have our fingers crossed and are looking ahead to 2021 with optimism and realism at the same time that people will once again be making those long haul trips. So today we're going to help give you all that information you need. So when your clients come to you and say, I am ready to go to Alaska, you are knowledgeable on what we have to offer. I'm a lifelong Alaskan. I've lived in Alaska all my life. I've lived in Fairbanks for more than 30 years, and I consider myself to be so very fortunate to have this job where essentially what I have to do is tell the story of Fairbanks, Alaska, the place that I live, work, and play in. So again, it's such a pleasure to be here with you today. And I'll let my colleague, Elka, introduce.
Hello. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm actually calling in from Germany, so I'm on the same time zone as you all are. And Scott, being a lifelong Alaskan, I'd like to say my heart lives in Alaska, or has been living for 30 years in Alaska. When I set foot on Alaska first time in '93, I just simply fell in love with it, and I caught a good virus early on in my life. So that's the Alaska travel love virus that I have. And I'm very happy to be the European representative for Explore Fairbanks and have been doing this for 12 years, almost 13 years now. So I'm very excited that we're here today to present beautiful Explore Fairbanks to you in the Netherlands. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Elka. Certainly here in Fairbanks, we appreciate all that you do and your passion for our destination. And also, I do want to say, I should have said at the beginning, I thank you to Visit USA Netherlands for this partnership and our ability to present to you this way. I think we're all getting accustomed to the world of GoToMeetings and Zoom and learning about things via virtual platform. And we certainly look forward to that day when we can resume these type of meetings, in person. So just a very quick update in regards to the COVID-19 situation as it pertains to the state of Alaska. So right now we do have some, pardon me, we do have some rather strict guidelines in terms of people coming from outside Alaska, non-residents visitors coming into the state in regards to what is required for coming with having taken a COVID-19 test, taken 72 hours before departure, obviously having a negative test upon arrival. There's a whole lot of different layers to this as well. So in the follow-up email, there'll be a link to the state of Alaska guidelines. Keep in mind, these are guidelines as it stands right now. Everywhere, every destination it's so different, just even across the United States. So this is as it is in this moment. Again, we're looking ahead to 2021, summer of 2021 and beyond, where the situation where we all hope will be very different. One thing that is very important to us though here in Fairbanks with our tourism partners, Explore Fairbanks represents about 400 different tourism partners. Everyone is doing everything they can to put safety protocols, safety guidelines in place. You see there the picture of one of our hotels with the masking, the practicing of social distancing. I'm so happy with how it's being taken so seriously among our tourism partners, and their big focus right now is ensuring that when visitors are coming here, their safety is first and foremost, because we know that's going to be so important to visitors, to travelers looking ahead when they do travel outside, travel internationally. They're going to want to know that the destination that they're going to has their health and safety in mind. And we are doing everything we can in Fairbanks to ensure that. So a quick little geography lesson. You have before you the great state of Alaska, the last frontier, the 49th state. Alaska is divided up into 5 different regions. You might not be able to see this region too much. I know some of the slide is cutting off, but you see my cursor down here. This portion of Alaska down here is called Southeast Alaska, also known as the Inside Passage. Up here is South Central Alaska. This is where a majority of Alaska's population resides, to include in Anchorage, the largest city in Alaska with a population of 300,000. We move over to the west to Southwest Alaska, and then we move up to the far north, Alaska's Arctic, which we'll be talking about here momentarily. And then finally, we drop down here to interior Alaska, which is where Fairbanks is located. The reason why there's a golden heart around Fairbanks is because we are known as the Golden Heart of Alaska. This has to do for 3 different reasons. One, because of our central location in the middle of Alaska, we kind of serve as the heartbeat of the state of Alaska. Reason number 2 is Fairbanks, like so many other communities and cities in Alaska, became incorporated because of the discovery of gold back in the early 1900s, and people today can still learn about that gold rush history. And the third reason has to do with the hospitality, the warmth, and the friendliness of the people who live here. When visitors come to Alaska, it's Mother Nature is the primary draw. Coming to see glaciers, northern lights dancing in the sky, grizzly bears in the woods. And they find that, they come here and they have that amazing Mother Nature experience that no other state in the US can offer. But what they also take away from is meeting some of the friendliest people they've ever met. We have wonderful people in Fairbanks, wonderful people in Alaska, and sometimes that rises to the top. What people take away as their experience is meeting great people who are so welcoming to visitors around the world. So you might know that Alaska is a pretty big state. This gives you a great representation of just how big it is. If you drop Alaska right into the middle of the continental United States, we literally stretch from coast to coast. How big is Alaska? 1.7 million square kilometers is our total area. In comparison, Netherlands is about 41,500 square kilometers. We like to joke in Alaska how much bigger we are than Texas. It's a bit of a competition. We're actually bigger than Texas, Montana, and California combined. But within this massive landscape, we are home to only 731,000 people with an average density of 1 person per 2 square kilometers. We like to think of Alaska as the ultimate social distancing destination. Not only is it easy to come to Alaska and be 6 feet away from someone, you can come here and be 6 miles away from someone. It really is just amazing how sparsely populated we are. And this is a great destination for people looking for wide open spaces and few crowds. Fairbanks is located in what is known as the Fairbanks North Star Borough, which has a population of close to 100,000. You see our massive city skyline there in downtown Fairbanks. We like to think here in Fairbanks that we're kind of just the right size. Fairbanks is it's a modern city, so people come in here, have nice hotels to stay in, great restaurants to eat in, shopping, museums, cultural experiences, all the amenities of a modern day city. But the beauty is that the great outdoors is just 5 minutes away from city limits. And that's why people are coming to Alaska, right? They're not coming for a city experience, they're coming for a natural experience. Fairbanks is most definitely a land of extremes with some of the most extreme temperature variations between the summer and the winter time. You can see there on the right, these pictures here, these are taken up at the University of Alaska, Fairbanks. And we have one thing people notice when they come to Fairbanks is we have a lot of these time and temperature clocks. Not so much because everyone wants to know what time it is, but no matter what season, people always want to know what the temperature is. So the students up at the university, whenever the temperature hits 40 below, and of course 40 below Celsius and 40 below Fahrenheit are one and the same, they'll come down from their dormitories in their cars, jump out wearing bathing suits and get their picture taken when the temperature hits 40 below. So they have what's called the 40 below club. It's a very quick photo shoot. There's not a lot of takes. They get their picture, jump back in the car. But then you see on the top there a summertime temperature. So you see on the left there just some of the varieties there in terms of the highest temperature record, the coldest temperature record, what those average temperatures are. Note there precipitation, 27 centimeters of rainfall a year. Fairbanks and interior Alaska, the climate is very much like a desert. So it's very dry and hot in the summer and then dry and cooler in the winter. In terms of those wintertime temperatures, Elke will be talking later on about winter, but winter is actually a very comfortable time to come to Fairbanks, and there's lots to offer that you're going to learn about here momentarily. So when we talk about Fairbanks as a year-round destination, which we are, a majority of visitors to Fairbanks, like all of Alaska, are coming during the summer season, but we are very fortunate to see visitors coming throughout the year. We don't describe Fairbanks as having 4 seasons. We like to say 3 seasons. We have our midnight sun season, April 22nd to August 20th, our aurora season, August 21st to April 21st, and then finally our winter season, mid-October to March. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my wonderful colleague, Elke, to talk about our beautiful midnight sun season. Elke, it's all yours.
Yes, thank you, Scott. Yeah, the midnight sun season in Fairbanks starts April 22nd and goes all the way through August 20th. And we have over 70 days of perpetual daylight during that time. And as Scott said before, we have some of the warmest temperatures in the state. In the summertime, we average 21 degrees Celsius, so it's very, very pleasant and comfortable. And Fairbanks, believe it or not, is a cruise port. It's the farthest north cruise port in Alaska. And as you can easily see from the map, there is no ocean nearby. But almost 50% of our visitors to Fairbanks in the summertime are coming by way of cruise. And that is, there are 2 different types of cruises that come to Alaska. And the season for cruising is typically from early May to the end of September. And they either do a round trip passage in the inside passage out of Seattle. It's a 7-day cruise, or a one-way cross Gulf Alaska cruise based out of Vancouver, and which lands in Seward or Whittier. And Scott is pointing out those places there for you. And what people can do when they're cruising in Alaska, they have the option of adding on a 7-day land package, and that's where Fairbanks comes into play. That follows what is known as the rail belt, which includes overnights in Anchorage, Denali, and Fairbanks. So Fairbanks is an important part of those itineraries, because if people are doing a land tours first, they are flying into Fairbanks, and if they are doing a land tour at the end of their cruise, they are flying out of Fairbanks. Either option is ideal for adding on extra days to explore more of the area, either before or after joining the package tour, which typically only allows for 1 to 2 days in Fairbanks. The Alaska Railroad is a wonderful way to explore the state, connecting Seward all the way up to Fairbanks. The train runs in the summer with limited service in the wintertime. The train offers a number of amenities to include open air platforms, like the one you can see here, and that are perfect for taking pictures and admiring the beautiful landscape. I actually took this picture, so it brings back wonderful memories right there, just looking at it. Fairbanks is also home to the Fairbanks International Airport, which during the midnight sun season, meaning during the summertime, offers weekly service to and from Frankfurt with Condor Airlines. Though they were not able to provide the service this summer, they have announced their intent to return for summer 2021, which will make it their 20th anniversary of flying into Fairbanks. Many of our European visitors choose to explore the area on their own by renting an RV in either Alaska or Canada and doing a combined Alaska-Yukon road trip. Though the roads in Alaska are far and few between, they do connect many beautiful parts of the state together. Fairbanks is a river city. The Chena River runs right through Fairbanks, so there are lots of river activities that you can enjoy, such as a riverboat tour. You can rent kayaks or stand-up paddle boards. You can engage in gold panning activities. This is, for instance, one way of engaging in gold panning and learning more about the gold rush history that Fairbanks has to offer. And of course, speaking of gold and the Golden Heart City, we also have a Golden Heart Plaza, which is a downtown area. Downtown Fairbanks is pedestrian friendly. We have a river walk, restaurants, gift shops, museums, pubs, live entertainment, and much more. And the best of shopping in Alaska is that there is no sales tax. And then, of course, speaking of restaurants and markets, you can enjoy what grows in Alaska and get a taste for it. You know, we have local breweries and local farmers markets, over 20 Thai restaurants. My colleague Ed, who's a third of our team, he enjoys mentioning that for some reason. So we have lots of international cuisine, seafood that you can enjoy, and nothing that you will miss in Fairbanks. This is our beautiful Morris Thompson Cultural and Visitor Center. This is also the home of the Explore Fairbanks team. And under this roof, you also have the park services and the cultural programs. There's a free exhibit that you can enjoy in the Morris Thompson Center. The building is open 363 days a year. It's only closed for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And it's definitely a wonderful place to learn about the Alaska Native culture. So there are cultural programs that you can enjoy, from dancing performances to fiddle performances, or engaging in workshops where you learn how to make your own souvenir with the help of a native. And for the more adventurous traveler, there are numerous opportunities to get out and immerse themselves in the great outdoors, enjoying activities such as fishing, as you can see here. There's wildlife active in the area. We have a bird viewing area right downtown Fairbanks, which is called Creamer's Field. There are an abundance of hiking trails, from easy to more adventurous, that you can enjoy. And there's North Pole, where the Alaska Santa Claus lives, which is only 20 kilometers away from Fairbanks, so a very short drive, and you can enjoy meeting Santa, get all your Christmas shopping done, or write your Christmas mail. That all gets a stamp from North Pole, Alaska. So I can highly recommend it. That is actually one of my favorite pastimes when I'm in North Pole, writing all my Christmas letters. And there are a lot of museums in Fairbanks. This is a picture of the University Museum of the North, but there are many more museums in the Fairbanks area, and they are open year-round. And we have many, many festivals in the summertime. As you can imagine, during the midnight sun, you know, the sun doesn't set. There's an abundance of daylight. That's why we have the Midnight Sun baseball game, Midnight Sun Run, Midnight Sun Festival, and the list goes on and on. And one of the events that I would like to bring to your attention particularly is the World Eskimo Indian Olympics in July, mid-July. So if you have summer guests that are traveling in Alaska, please make sure that they have a chance to visit this very authentic sports and cultural event, which is a very special highlight when coming to Fairbanks. It takes place every year, and it's always in Fairbanks. And with that, I turn back over to Scott for the Aurora season.
Well, thank you so much, Elka. So we move from the Midnight Sun season to the Aurora season, which is well underway. The Northern Lights have been dancing in the sky, something fierce the last week or so. We've had some just amazing Aurora displays. Fairbanks is actually one of the best places in the world to see the Aurora. And I'll explain why that is from a scientific standpoint here in just a moment. So I think the Northern Lights is such a huge bucket list item from so many people around the world who want to come and experience this amazing Mother Nature natural phenomena. So we have an actual season for it. This is the time of the year, August 21st, all the way to April 21st, when it is possible to see the Northern Lights in Fairbanks, Alaska. There's actually Northern Lights happening in the sky during the months of June and July, but that's our midnight sun season, 24 hours of daylight. You need a dark sky to see the Northern Lights. So by that late August timeframe, that's when we get it, the skies are dark enough at night to be able to see the Northern Lights. Everyone always wants to know, so that's a lot of months of the year where it's possible to see the Northern Lights. Which one of those months is the better, has the best display? The answer is none of them. In my many years here in Fairbanks, I've seen amazing Northern Lights each of those months during the Aurora season. It really comes down to what does the visitor want to experience during the day? So for that visitor who wants to have that summertime experience in Alaska, doing those activities Elka just described, coming during that late August time frame through the September, they can enjoy the summer experience, try to see the Northern Lights. Others might want that winter experience, and we're going to explain why it's such an amazing time here in just a bit. So during that later on, the January through March is a great time to come. So the reason why we make this claim that we are one of the best places in the world, it has to do with the science of the Northern Lights. And there's two main reasons. One, if you recall on that map of Alaska, how far away from the coast we are, 500 miles to the north, 500 miles south, nowhere near the coastline. Because of that inland location, we have a lot of nights of clear skies. We don't get much cloud coverage in Fairbanks, and an important criteria for seeing Northern Lights, besides having a dark sky, is having a clear sky. So we don't get much cloud coverage here. Reason number two is we are located under what is geographically known as the auroral oval, which is that perfect positioning on Earth where the aurora activity is happening almost directly in the sky above. So the science is in our favor when it comes to being a great place to see the Northern Lights. Now, the Northern Lights is, of course, controlled by Mother Nature. We at Explore Fairbanks do not have a switch that we can turn on to make the Northern Lights appear in the sky. I wish we did. So because it is controlled by Mother Nature, it is not a guarantee. We all know in the travel industry, if Mother Nature has anything to do with it, we never attach the word guarantee to it. But there are some tips people can keep in mind to increase the likelihood of seeing the Northern Lights. One is the longer someone stays, the better the chance is. And actually just staying 3 days increases the chance of seeing the Northern Lights by 90%. Number two, stay up late. Best time to see the Northern Lights tends to be between midnight and 3 a.m. So people are coming here, their goal is to see the Northern Lights. They got to really make that commitment to stay up late, get out there and be actively looking for the Northern Lights. And as the person planning their trip itinerary, you probably don't want to start their next day's activities too early in the morning. Give them some chance to sleep in a bit before they go out and explore more of the Fairbanks area. someone could be in Fairbanks probably for easily 2 weeks and could try and see the aurora a different way with a different type of tour company. There's just a plethora of options for ways to see the northern lights. A very common one pictured here is to go to an aurora viewing lodge. This one is located just about 15 minutes away from city limits. You know, another good tip for seeing the northern lights is to get away from the city, get away from the light pollution, and get out to where there's no light pollution. So with the aurora viewing lodges, people can either drive out on their own or be picked up at a hotel and taken out to a lodge, nice, comfortable facility. They wait inside. There's activities to do while waiting for the lights to come out. There are trips across the Arctic Circle to see the northern lights. There's a place here that has igloo type accommodations where people can actually lie in their bed and they have a glass ceiling and look at the northern lights that way. There's aurora hunting tours where people will be picked up at their hotel and they'll go to different locations around Fairbanks to go out and look for the northern lights in different areas. And then the wintertime, there's different packages that are put together. Someone could go dog mushing under the northern lights, ice fishing under the northern lights. The opportunities are absolutely endless. So these pictures here, because everyone, if you come and see the northern lights, you've got to take a picture of them, of course. These are all pictures that Elka has taken when she's been up here in the late summer months with our European familiarization tour that we've hosted every year, with the exception of this year, unfortunately. So taking the northern lights, picture of the northern lights is not just as easy as pointing your phone in the sky. With your camera, you need specific settings. With your iPhone, you need a specific app for it. A lot of these aurora tour companies have photographers, have guides who are knowledgeable about that so that they can assist visitors with how to set their camera up so they can get some pictures of these beautiful northern lights. So they're just great pictures, Elka. I love seeing those. So if someone wants to they want a picture to prove they saw the northern lights, they can also have a certificate. So at Explore Fairbanks at the Morris Thompson Center, we have these aurora certificates available for people to pick up to prove that they saw the northern lights in Fairbanks, Alaska. These are also available if someone is a tour operator and you have a small group, we can provide these to you ahead of time. But it's just an absolutely spectacular to see these amazing lights. Now, like I said, I've been in Fairbanks 30 plus years and I never get tired of seeing them. It's just breathtaking when they're out in their full glory, dancing in the sky, changing colors. It's amazing. Winter is also a great time to see the northern lights. A lot of people come during the wintertime to see the northern lights, but what are they going to do during the day? Elka, do you have some ideas to share?
Yes. Well, once again, winter starts mid-October and goes through March. And actually, for more than 10 years, winter has been one of our fastest growing seasons, led by the northern lights as the primary draw to come to Fairbanks. February and March are the peak months during the winter season. The winter temperatures are dry and cold, very low humidity, so it's very, very pleasant. And one little comment I'd like to make about the snow in Fairbanks, it's so powdery that you can't even build a snowman. So that struck me by surprise when I first came to Fairbanks. I still remember that to this day. We do have a lot of vendors available for engaging in winter activities, and they also rent winter gear, so that's available. Explore Fairbanks has produced a wonderful video that's called How to Dress for Winter. So if you're interested in that video or have it on your website or just watching it, contact either Scott or myself and we'll be happy to share that with you. Dog mushing is the official sport of Alaska, actually. There's so many options to experience the sport, from 20-minute rides close to town to dog mushing schools where people learn to drive their own dog team and go on longer backcountry expeditions. It's also a great opportunity for spectators because there are quite a few races happening in town, dog sled races, and interaction with dogs is not just a winter activity. The dog kennels, of course, are there year-round, and there are dog cart rides available in the summertime as well. From late February to late March, Fairbanks is home to the World Ice Art Championships, where some of the best ice carvers in the world come together to create larger-than-life sculptures made entirely from ice, as you can see here in this picture, for instance. And the Fairbanks ice is known as the Arctic diamond because of how clear it is. Other opportunities to enjoy ice sculptures are ice carvings around town, the International Ice Park, and even in the summertime, you can marvel at those ice sculptures in the Ice Museum downtown or the Ice Hotel at Chena Hot Springs Resort. Another favorite pastime for visitors in the winter is ice fishing. And what's really nice about that activity is when you catch the fish, you can actually eat it on site. You know, they're warm, heated, cozy cabins where you put the fish on the grill and can taste it right there. Other activities playing in the snow include cross-country skiing or downhill skiing, snowboarding, snowshoe hiking, and of course there are equipment rentals available for daily use or multiple day use. Our visitors also enjoy snow machine tours, and they are fun and easy to drive, and you do not need to have prior experience to drive on these snow machines. So that's a good thing to know for you and your clients. And what's really wonderful is to enjoy the hot springs. About 100 kilometers away from Fairbanks, they're the Chena Hot Springs, and it's a totally different experience. They are open year round, and it's a totally different experience to be in the hot springs in the wintertime from being in the hot springs in the summertime. I've done it myself, and it was just a wonderful experience to have. And on site of Chena Hot Springs, there are also not just the hot springs, but also activities, and you can also spend the night out there. And I've mentioned that our museums are open year-round, and so is this one also, the Fountainhead Antique Auto Museum. It's a true jewel in Fairbanks, this museum. And with that, I turn back over to Scott.
All right, thank you, Elka. So because of Fairbanks' central location in the middle of Alaska, we are a great base camp to go explore other parts of Alaska. So we know that people coming all the way from the Netherlands aren't just going to come to Fairbanks. They're going to want to see as much of Alaska as possible. Or in some cases, as the question was, in the question there about Canada. So, you know, Whitehorse is, I said 900 kilometers away or so from Fairbanks. So a lot of people are when they come here, they'll combine Canada and the Yukon and Alaska together. Of course, we need that border to be opened up to make that happen, which right now the border between Canada and Alaska is closed to non-essential travel. Within Alaska, though, one of the most popular destinations people go to during the summertime is Denali National Park. Denali National Park is about a 2-hour drive south of Fairbanks, or 4 hours by the beautiful Alaska Railroad. #1 destination in Alaska. All those Cross Gulf Alaska cruise land tour programs that Elka talked about, pretty much all of them will include Denali National Park. One of the highlights of going to Denali National Park is seeing the mountain Denali itself. Highest mountain in North America, standing about 6,200 meters tall. It's amazing to see when it's out. There's actually places in Fairbanks when the weather conditions are right that you can see the mountain. Denali is pretty much open during the summer season from mid-May to mid-September, but it is open in the winter time as well, with very few tours and activities, but people can still go there to have the opportunity to see the mountain. So in the summertime, what are people doing when they come to Denali? Well, probably one of the most popular activity is to take a bus tour into the park to try to see the Alaskan wildlife, the moose, the caribou, the grizzlies, oh my. There are two different types of bus tours that go into Denali. The road is about 80 miles long. It is closed most of the way. Most of the road is closed to private vehicles. So to get inside the park, you do have to go up one of these tours. This one here, this green bus, this is actually operated by the park system. It's more of a shuttle bus than a tour bus. It will stop at different checkpoints along the way. People get off the bus, explore the area, and then get back on. There's also a company that does more of a tour experience with a tour guide and so forth. They offer two different types of tours: the Tundra Wilderness Tour, which is about 6 to 8 hours long, and then the Denali Natural History Tour, that's about 3 to 4 hours long. In addition to the tours into the park, people are enjoying activities from whitewater rafting, flight seeing to land on a glacier, zip lining, and so much more. Denali has probably some of the best hotel properties within the state of Alaska and some great restaurants as well. It's easy to spend a good 3 to 4 days in Denali alone. And as I said, Denali is pretty breathtaking to go see in the wintertime as well. So north of Fairbanks, we have Alaska's Arctic. So here's Fairbanks. Here is the Arctic Circle. And so this part of Alaska up here, this is when you start getting into the Arctic. A lot of people are wanting to make that trip into the Arctic. As far as being a part of Alaska that is just wide open spaces, the Arctic is definitely where it is. So how are people getting up into the Arctic? Well, there's actually a road, believe it or not, that goes from Fairbanks all the way up to Prudhoe Bay on the Arctic Ocean. This road is known as the Dalton Highway. It was built in the 1970s to support the construction of the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. It's almost, it's 798 kilometers long. Now, people can come to Fairbanks. They could actually rent a car and they could drive this on their own. However, there's some things to know about this highway. There is only 3 locations along this entire highway where someone can stop, get gas or food or for lodging. It's definitely a remote highway. It's gravel most of the way because its primary use today still is for the large trucks that are hauling supplies up here, up to the oil fields on Prudhoe Bay. So if someone is making that trip, if they do want to rent a car, they can't just go to Hertz or Enterprise at the airport and get a regular car to go. There's specific car companies that people can rent from for vehicles that are equipped to go on that highway. It's also, there's almost no cell phone reception once you get to Fairbanks. So it is definitely a remote drive, but it is doable to do with the right preparations. Lots to see and do along the way. We get a chance to cross the mighty Yukon River, the only bridge in Alaska that goes over the Yukon River, and then opportunities for wildlife viewing, scenery, meeting with locals and some of the small communities along the way. Of course, a highlight of making that trip is going across the Arctic Circle and getting the picture taken in front of the famous Arctic Circle sign. So there are tours. People don't want to make the drive on their own. There are a number of tour companies that will make that trip on the highway for them. Let a tour guide drive you up there and you sit back and enjoy it. A lot of people will combine a road trip, going up in a small tour bus, and then doing a flight seeing trip back. So doing a fly drive combo, which is one of my favorite ways to go up there because it gives you a chance to experience the Arctic from the ground as well as from the air. Polar bears, everyone wants to see polar bears. So there are opportunities out of Fairbanks to go up to the Arctic. There's this Inupiaq Eskimo village called Kaktovik up here. During the month of September, there are flight seeing tours that go from Fairbanks to Kaktovik, and people have a chance to go on a small boat that goes along the coastline there to watch out for the polar bears. It's only during the month of September because that's when the bears are waiting for the coast, along the coast, waiting for the ocean to freeze up so they can go out on the sea ice to go hunt for seals, which is their main staple there. And this is another Elka aurora photo. This is taken up in Wiseman, population 10, which is located up above the Arctic Circle. So as good as Fairbanks is to see the northern lights, it's even better across the Arctic Circle, because up across the Arctic Circle, they're more directly under that auroral oval. So probably one of the most popular, I would say, during the winter time. Most people are making that trip across the Arctic Circle so they can get a chance to see the northern lights in Alaska's Arctic. And just like we have an Aurora certificate, we have an Arctic Circle certificate available too. So if you have a client who comes here and they make that trip up to the Arctic, we have these certificates available at the Morris Thompson Center. Most of the tour companies, though, if they're going to the tour company, will provide the certificate for them. So it's a great part. I know Elka's a huge fan of getting up into the Arctic. I am too. It's just a breathtaking part of Alaska to see. So now you know everything about Fairbanks. You're ready now. So we have a lot of resources available to help you here at Explore Fairbanks. Probably first and foremost, the best resource you have is Elka. She's over there in your same time zone. She knows Fairbanks better than I do, probably. So she is a fantastic resource to reach out to for more assistance. And we can help in a variety of ways, from providing you visitor guides, itinerary assistance, online at explorefairbanks.com, fairbanksphotos.com. We have an online image gallery of photos you can use for marketing purposes, and then our social media channels as well. And we love hosting fam tours with our travel agent and tour operator friends, and we look forward to when we can resume those again. And if you want to learn more about Fairbanks, we have some additional webinars coming up. So these webinars are all specific, topic specific. So we're going to do one just on winter. You can see other ones coming up. You'll get the link to those webinars. The good thing is you don't have to join them live as you are today. It's once you register for these webinars, you'll receive the recording of them, because I don't think our time zones quite match up for doing them that way. But if you want to learn more about any of these different areas or all of them, we encourage you to sign up for them and become even more knowledgeable about Fairbanks. So there are a few slides here. So from Brand USA that I just want to quickly go through with you before we trade out here. So Brand USA has their USA Discovery Program. It's the official online training tool of Brand USA. So if you want to learn more about other various destinations and experiences in the USA and become accredited as a USA specialist, they have this Discovery Program is a real great resource. Brand USA does such a fantastic job marketing the United States to our international friends. So you see the website there. We'll make sure that link is included as well if you're not able to see that. Lots of different courses. You know, a lot of us are spending time in webinars right now, maybe too much time, but this is a great opportunity to acquire as much knowledge as possible. They do provide various, within this USA Insider Guide, some route suggestions. So they have one here for Alaska, which looks pretty good. They just need to add Fairbanks into the itinerary there. And this is the Nicole Conrad, is the country manager in the Netherlands for Brand USA. I think that's the end of their presentation, and that's the end of our presentation too. So let me quickly check the question, the Q&A here, to see if we got all of the questions answered. And Elka, feel free to unmute yourself as well.
Yeah, I don't see any questions here so far.
Someone asked, let's see, how many Dutch tourists do we receive annually? We're not sure. We don't have we don't really have a mechanism in place to track within our visitation to Fairbanks or to Alaska what the percentage breakdown is. But it's a market. It's been growing, though. I mean, you know, we've just started becoming, you know, more active in the Netherlands market over the last few years, thanks to Elka, and so it's I would say it is growing. Elka, what would you think? No, Elka, you still there?
I'm here, yes.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. I mean, with the Dutch market, would agree. It's kind of one it's growing one. It's one that, the interest has been fairly recent. So we're looking forward to doing more in the market. Any other questions there? I think that does it then. Elke, any closing comments from you?
I just like to, encourage everyone as well to not just email me or just pick up the phone too, if you'd like. And I'm not sure, if you had my phone number in the beginning of the presentation. Otherwise, I'll be happy to type it in the chat box again for you all, because there's so much that you can talk about Alaska, and I'd love to share my knowledge with you. And sometimes the questions just come up when you're dealing with the subject and you're just immersing yourself deeper into it. So why don't I type my phone number here in for you. Trying to do this here for some reason. Okay, here we go.
And I'm seeing.
Yeah, other than that, I don't have anything from my end at this point.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure there was, Elke, did you add, there were some other questions that came across in the question. Did you see those?
No, unfortunately, I don't see them here.
I see some in here that I didn't see, but I'm trying to bring up the, let's see, there's a question. Do you need a special car driving to Denali National Park? No, from Fairbanks to Denali is the Parks Highway. It's a perfectly modern paved highway. So you can take any type of rental car down to Denali. If you want to drive on, there's what's known as the Denali Highway. That's separate from the highway that goes into the park. There's the Denali Highway that it connects Cantwell down the Parks Highway over to Paxton, the Richardson Highway. That's an all gravel highway. You do need a specific car for being able to do that. And let's see. Yeah, I'm not able to read all the questions or so here. Trying to bring up the full.
Oh, I see one here. Is winter gear renting expensive? Do you have some figures? Scott, do you want to answer?
No, I mean, I would say like, like Elke said, a lot of the tour companies, someone's doing dog mushing or something that requires specific gear. Most of the companies provide that. The rental companies, there's a couple of them in town that rent winter gear. I don't know about figures off the top of my head, but it's a pretty good deal. I think it's a much better deal than having to come to Fairbanks and purchase a whole winter outfit that you might not necessarily need again. So there's two different companies I know in Fairbanks who do rent that winter gear. But again, a lot of the tour companies will provide that gear that is needed. Usually people will want, if they're here in the middle of winter, just for getting around, they'll want, proper gloves, a hat, and so forth.
And then Scott, someone asked for the link to the video, how to dress for winter. That's on our YouTube channel, isn't it?
It is, yes. Or it's on the explorefairbanks.com. It's there on the link to winter as well. But we can make sure to include that link too. I think we have the opportunity to send an email to everyone, so we'll make sure that's included. Okay. Boy, Elke, we did pretty good on time too.
Yeah.
We could have added more slides.
I'm just typing the YouTube link here in the chat for everyone to see. So, yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, boy, again, thank you so much for taking some time to spend with Elka and I. We know that there are no shortage of webinars to participate in this day and age. So we appreciate you investing your time in our webinar. We enjoy very much this opportunity to connect with you. Again, thank you so much to Visit USA Netherlands for this this opportunity as well. And we certainly look forward to that opportunity when we're closing our computers, closing our laptops, and we're meeting in person, because I think that's what we love the most in the tourism industry, is that opportunity to connect in person. So all the best from the far north of Fairbanks, Alaska. Stay safe, stay healthy, and fingers crossed for a much better 2021. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.